pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let the record state that we are all here except for the vacancy that was declared by Derek Molnar. Okay, 4.0 student representation.
Hello! Hello. Hi. Okay, we really don't have a whole lot going on. January is a very dull month. We don't have anything going on at all, not even holiday-wise. So it's a very dull month, but we have some action now. So Tonic Sofa, they're having a concert here in the Evelyn Auditorium. That's February 7th at 7 o'clock, and I believe it's $20 for admission. They are Emmy winning. They should be good. Drama. The one act went to subsections this Saturday and placed second, while Chisholm got first, and we are very excited that both of our schools are going to sections. We are friends, and so it was really fun this weekend. Sections is going to be held at the Hibbing Community College, and then the winning show will go on to state, which is the 7th and 8th, and sections will be held this Saturday. So we are really hoping to go to state again this year. Yesterday. Speech on Saturday, they also had a meet. I believe it was in Ely or International Falls. It was way up there. They had an International Falls. They had a meet. They took first. They won the entire meet, and I'm really proud of them. We had a lot of really good speakers, and we had a lot of first place. And it was just really good, and I'm really proud of them. And on to our sports this week. Monday we have a girls' basketball game here tonight versus Mountain Iron Buell. We have school cancellation Tuesday and Wednesday, so all sports and activities have been postponed. Thursday we have a girls' basketball game versus Ely, a girls' hockey game versus International Falls at home, a boys' hockey game at Greenway. Friday we have a boys' swim meet at Mesabi East, and a boys' basketball game versus Ely here. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
5.0 additions and deletions.
Mr. Chair, I have in front of you something that looks like this. There's Form B on top of it. It is a resolution of school board supporting Form B application of Minnesota State High School League Foundation. Our activities director is requesting that the board pass this. She's asking the foundation for a little over $3,000 for coaches clinic registrations and a portable AED. You can see on Appendix B on the back page, you can see the budget that she's put forth. And that would become 12.7.
I'll move that as heading of that.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
I'll second. Any discussion on this?
Not on that one, but were you adding, you had mentioned to him earlier about adding the discussion
Oh, yes.
regarding the two new agenda items?
Yes, we can add, Jeff, I'd like to add, I guess, to the agenda.
I had one more thing on this
Okay.
resolution. It's on the agenda,
Oh,
right? Do we have a number for this resolution?
12.7.
12.7.
The resolution number?
675.
Thank you.
It's not on the agenda to have a discussion regarding those two items, though. Those two items are on here. They're
Right.
already
Right.
on here.
Yeah.
Brandy has requested, Director Lotiger has requested that 13.0 and 15.0, just we have a discussion on them in regards to them.
When
So-
they come up on the agenda, they will be discussed, won't they?
0.0 that we're on the same page of what we want to talk about when they come up. Okay?
That's fine, I just didn't understand.
Okay. So we can put some rules and, parameters on what can be discussed.
That would be 12.8?
That is correct.
Okay.
I will make that motion if that's necessary, to add 12.8, a discussion on board member topics and old business being added to the agenda.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Visitor input. Jeff, you have anybody?
Nope.
7.0, approve the agenda.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda with the additions of 12.7, the resolution number 675, and 12.8, a discussion on adding board member topics and old business onto our agenda.
I'll second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 8.0, the treasurer's report.
You gonna do it,
You're
Tom?
going to do it, Tom? Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know, is that proper? I'm no longer the treasurer
Well,
anymore?
you are until
Until someone else
later
is
on down in the
appointed.
meeting.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay, for the month of January 2019, the check writing. General fund disbursements, $185,189.00. Food service, $29,369.65. Transportation, $982.25. Community education, $2,978.84. Capital outlay, $56,750.07, for a total of $275,269.81.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to add one thing. There was a question last time on the JK Mechanical bill.
Yep.
Just like to clarify that. I have the invoices in front of you. So the original one is on top, 67.4, for replacing 180 feet of piping. The second one is the one that's in question. If you flip the page, they ended up doing that on a weekend so that we didn't have to close school. And when they dug in, they had to replace an additional 84 feet. You can see the cost on that. The one that was a little bit surprising to me was the OT for that weekend, about a little over 11,000. And there was some concrete piers that they found that they had to dig up as well. The 5,800 for the buried condensate valve we did not do. They offered it, but we didn't do that one. So it was a decision that Mike had to make on the weekend so that we didn't have to close school on Monday. And then the last page there is the last section from the manhole into the building. You guys saw that one. So that was where the discrepancy came from. It's not good form, but it happened.
Is that on this new treasurer report?
No,
No,
we pulled that check because of the discrepancy in the bids from what we approved to what we actually paid out. Or
That's
what
why I was
we're
wondering
gonna
if it was
pay
on
out.
this one.
But
That's why I was wondering if it was on this.
it's not on that one, it's on the previous one. But it got pulled out. So
But we have to-
if you approved it,
So I will make a motion to approve the treasurer's report with the clarification to JK Mechanical Contractors in regards to the two original bids that we proposed, in addition to the bid that was approved by the maintenance supervisor for overtime work and additional work done.
Support.
All in favor? Or any more discussion?
Well, they didn't break down on the overtime for $11,396, Director Eddie. They didn't give us a breakdown on any man hours or cost per hour, just a flat rate, $11,396. That's just one question I would add.
Well, it was,
Valid
I mean, I'm
question.
sure there was a ton of, go ahead.
they had,
It's considered an overtime,
Yeah.
it's not a breakdown of the amount of man hours versus.
it's a legitimate question. I mean, they had all hands on deck because I told them I needed to go to school on Monday, so, and they got it done, so. I don't know the answer to that question, I guess is what I'm telling you.
I mean, I guess it needed to be done. It needed to be done without calling a special session to approve this, I guess. Sometimes we got to put our trust in our personnel, such as our maintenance supervisor, that he made the right decision in regards to this. To make sure we were able to have school on Monday. Any more discussion on this? All in favor of approving the treasurer's report?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Motion carries. The consent agenda. Approve the minutes of the regular meeting, July 14, 2019. Approve the 2018-19 extracurricular assignments.
I'd like to just pull the minutes because I have one correction to make. Pull that out of the consent agenda.
Can we make the correction tonight, or does it need to be,
No, we can make it tonight.
okay.
Okay.
What is it?
We'll just discuss it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, on page 2 of the minutes, when it talks about the salaries, the school board salaries. The correction is that I made a motion, Bill supported it for the salaries to remain at $200 a month. And then I amended my motion a little bit later, and then Bill accepted the amendment, and then it carried unanimously. It just reads differently right there.
So we can agree to make those changes?
After amendment.
Right. Yeah, the second line. After the amendment, Director Addy moved with support from Sather. Those, I made the motion, and Bill, you didn't do anything, second anything, yeah. And then, but that was actually an amendment, the 250. The original motion was 200, if you recall. Yep. Okay, that's just the clarification.
Okay, so 9.0. Approve the consent agenda with the amended minutes.
With that, I'll move.
With the amended minutes.
Support.
Any more discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 10.0, items removed from consent agenda.
We just did, that's why I waited.
Okay. 11.0, personnel. Appoint a new board member for temporary vacancy.
Wide open. Someone needs to make a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to appoint John Huhan as the temporary board member to fill Derek Mulner's vacancy.
Would this be like a roll call vote that we'd have to, or no?
Doesn't have to be, but you can call in if you want to.
We can call it whenever we want.
Okay, well, I will support Brandy on John Huhan's appointment. Okay. Any more discussion on this?
I unfortunately missed the interviews due to work obligations, so I will be abstaining from the final vote.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So should we do the oath of office here?
What's that? Yes,
Please do.
yes.
So we'll take a little break so they can figure out the paperwork.
I was hoping Jeff would have that already.
Congratulations,
You got it.
John.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, sir.
Nice to meet you. Just need you to sign here.
Yep.
You wouldn't happen to have a board packet for him, do you?
You know what? You got mine.
Thank you.
Tidy up, no, in the room.
we going to give oath then?
We
You want to do it?
No, you can.
Okay. Actually, the clerk should.
The duties.
Just waiting for one of them to turn it over.
You just have to read it out loud and then have him repeat this after.
For the school board member oath of office, it is an honor that you were elected to guide the education of our community's children. As you recite the oath of office, you assume a tremendous responsibility as a director of our school district with the duties empowered by the Minnesota legislature. This power puts you and the other members of our school board in the position of being both morally and legally responsible for equitable, quality education of every student in the district. In carrying out this responsibility, you will be asked to fulfill the roles of vision, structure, accountability, and advocacy. In providing vision, the board, with extensive participation of the community, envisions the community's educational future and then formulates the goals, defines the outcomes, and sets the course for the public schools. To achieve the vision, the board establishes a structure and creates an environment designed to ensure all students the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. Because as a board, we must be accountable to the community, we must ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement in all conditions affecting the education of our children. As board members, we serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students and our community schools to advance the vision of our schools. Furthermore, we must strive to work together with the superintendent and staff to lead the district toward fulfilling the vision we have created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills and knowledge, citizenship, and personal development. So, having signed the acceptance of office and the oath of office, I hereby publicly... Oh, this is where you would read, okay. Okay, can you repeat after me?
Sure.
Having signed the acceptance of office and oath of office,
Having signed the acceptance of
office and oath of office.
and oath of office,
I hereby publicly affirm my commitment
I hereby publicly affirm my commitment
to the oath of office.
to the oath of office.
I swear that I support the Constitution of the United States
I swear that I support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state,
and of the state,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the office of school board member
the duties of the office of the school board member.
of Independent School District number 2154,
Say that again.
of Independent School District number 2154,
Of Independent School District 2154,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Well, we get married or something? Right here.
It's right on the bottom, yeah. And then Bill will send you guys a section.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Run 12.1.
Okay.
Okay. 12.0, new business.
I do have
12.0.
a quick question.
Yep.
At the interview, we talked about a 30-day waiting period. Is that?
No.
You're
No.
in.
I'm
You're good.
All right.
I'd like to make a comment about that now, just because. At that meeting, I want to say that I stand corrected, that I thought there was a 30-day waiting period, and I was wrong. And so I emailed.
Thank you for that.
Well, I was, and I
Thank
said I
you.
was trying to pull it up. I sent Brandy an email and Jeff an email and the chair, but, open meeting law I couldn't, but I publicly want to say, yes, I was mistaken, I stand corrected.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
12.0, new business. 12.1, the resolution 674, directing the administration to make recommendations for reductions in programs and positions and reasons therefore.
This is a resolution the board passes every second meeting in January. Basically starts the budgeting process, allows the administration to start looking at scheduling for next year. And then, once we get through that, we'll come back to the board with recommendations. It doesn't necessarily have to be a reduction, but if it does,
So
Any actual reductions will be done by the board.
okay, so we need a motion to approve Resolution 624.
74.
674, excuse me.
Would you like me to read it?
Yes.
Resolution number 674, resolution directing the administration to make recommendations for reductions in programs and positions and reasons therefore. Whereas the financial condition of the school district dictates that the school board must reduce expenditures immediately, and whereas this reduction in expenditures must include discontinuance of positions and discontinuance or curtailment of programs, and whereas a determination must be made as to which teacher contracts must be terminated and not renewed, and which teachers may be placed on unrequested leave of absence without pay or fringe benefits in effecting discontinuance of positions. Be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District Number 2154 as follows, that the school board hereby directs the superintendent of schools and administration to consider the discontinuance of programs or positions to effectuate economies to the school board for the discontinuance of programs, curtailment of programs, discontinuance of positions, or curtailment of positions.
So you need a motion.
I will make a motion to approve resolution number 674.
I will. Okay, all in favor? Or any more discussion? Any discussion on this?
It's just Kelly made the motion and Matt
Okay.
seconded.
Okay, so so we'd have to, all in favor of
Do you
674?
want to roll call this or no?
Yes, we'll roll call.
Resolutions, I usually
Yeah.
did a roll call vote.
Okay,
Okay, so starting with Director Sorkin,
Yes.
Director Gentilini,
Yes.
Director Johan,
Yes.
Director Schobert,
Yes.
Director Lotiger,
Yes.
Director Sather is a yes, Director Addy,
yes.
that would pass 7-0.
So then we'd be moving on to 12.2. Correct? Okay. 12.2, accept the fiscal year 2018 audit report.
Mr. Chair, I invited Greg Knutson from our audit firm, Walker, Drew and Honey, to come and take the board through it. I did get a copy here. Thank you. So now you broke it.
Sorry. So everybody has a copy of this,
Yep.
printout? Okay, thank you. So, this is the bound copy of the audit, and it's about 86 pages. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing tonight, but the handout is about 12 pages and a couple extras, so that's what the Reader's Digest version. And this is the audit report and the financial statements and supplementary information for ISD 2154 for the year ended June 30th, 2018. It says on the front page of that. Moving to page C, which is really our part, the opinion, and it states, in our opinion, which would be the auditors, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities, each major fund and aggregate remaining fund information of ISD 2154 Evelyn Gilbert, Minnesota as of June 30th, 2018, and in respect of changes in financial position thereof and the budgetary comparison for the general fund for the year endings in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. So that's basically what our opinion says. What that is an unmodified opinion, and that's the cleanest and best opinion that the government unit can get. Moving on to page 1 of the review. Basically, here's your governmental funds and with a comparison of prior year.
Which one you on there, Greg? This one? The one up, we got 14 on the bottom. Right?
Yeah, it's 14 on the bottom and 1 on the upper right. So the page I'll be referring to will be the hand-drawn one on the upper right. And you can see the general fund had a year-end fund balance of $6,213,000. The debt service, $1,280,000. The other governmental funds, $265,644, with a grand total of $7,759,416, and that compares to $6,406,453. And as we turn the page, the reason for that, the big reason for that, on the bottom line, so this is the third line from the bottom. The general fund balance increased by $59,672. The debt service fund by $1,225,268. The reason for that, there is a refunding bond in your OPEB bond of $1,280,000, but it was an advance refunding, so you have double debt for 1 year. So in you're into 6/30/2019. That amount that's sitting in fiscal agents, those that money will be used to pay off the old debt, and you only have one debt remaining. And that was done in order to for favorable refinancing to save interest costs overall on your OPEB bonds. And your other governmental funds, and I'll give you the breakdown of that a couple pages from here, had a net change in fund balance of $68,000, basically due to a transfer in of $87,000, as you can see. So in total, the fund balances increased by $1,352,000, but $1,280,000 of that had to do with advance refunding of a bond issuance cost. Turning to page 3 of the handout, the second column is the budgeted amount, the final budget, and you basically budgeted expenditures in excess of revenues of $569,000. The actual amount in the middle row gives what actually happened. That's the $59,672 again. And the variance, which is just a difference between the final budget and the actual, showed a positive variance of $629,456, which is the second column to the right, and then with the 2017 as a comparison to the prior year amounts. Turning to page 4 of this handout, and this is the breakdown of your non-major funds. And as you can see, the food service fund had an increase in fund balance of $20,154, and the community service fund had an increase of $47,869. But as mentioned before, talking about the non-major fund, that has to do with a transfer in from the general fund to the community service fund of $87,659, basically to fund any deficits and prior year deficits of that fund.
That's the early childhood,
Yeah.
in case anyone's wondering.
And there's the grand total for the non-major fund, $68,023, with a comparison to the prior year. Page 5 gives a highlight of your non-governmental funds, which is your fiduciary funds. You have two of them, the private purpose scholarship trust fund, and you can see you scholared out $5,500, and there was interest plus additional gifts of $4,721. So in total, that fund, the fund balance decreased by $542. And you also have an OPEB irrevocable benefit trust fund, which you earn interest and its contributions, but then there's benefits out and admin cost. The fund balance on that fund decreased by $123,568, giving you a net position held in trust at year end of $862,537. I also highlighted a few of your notes that aren't otherwise on those financials. Here's your net undepreciated capital assets. You can see you started the year with $8,496,000. You had depreciation of $553,000 on those assets, and an increase to capital assets of $348,000. So a net decrease of governmental activities, capital assets of $205,000, giving you the year-end undepreciated amount of $8,291,208. That's where those sit. And the next one, and we talked about this a little bit before with your debt, gives you a summary of your long-term liabilities. Start of the year at, there's also severance payable listed in there, but the bonding started at 1.8 million. You had an additional OPEB refunding bond of 1,280,000, paid off 481,000 of principal on a couple of the debts, and your ending fund balance is 2,675,000. So you can see at year end you have 2 OPEB refunding bonds, but that 1,395,000 will be paid off because it was it'll be callable in that year, and that's why you have the double debt for just 1 year, because it's advance refunding. And you can see the schedule on the bottom gives you 5-year increments of the principal and interest to pay on that debt of the 2,675,000, and there's interest that'll be paid on the debt as it exists right now of about 230,000, broke down in 5-year increments, and then the last 5 years lumped together in one lump sum. On page 8, on top, talks about the transfer from general fund to community service special revenue funds to fund school readiness projects. And here's a breakdown of all the fund balances at year end of the $7,700,000. How much is non-spendable in inventory, the restricted amount, and the unassigned on the bottom. And those numbers will agree with the numbers up front. I'm not going to go through that, but it's a snapshot of where you are at June 30th, 2018. Now we'll get to the findings at the end. We have 2 of them that are listed on page 9 and continue on 10. The usual one we have is segregation of duties. This basically talks about limited number of individuals, specifically in the district's business office. I know there's been a positive increase with that because you added an individual, and I believe with lack of adequate number of individuals, you are segregating duties, checks and balances as well as possible, but you complete segregation with only really 2 people in the office, and you're also using another one, is impossible, and it's not unusual for a government entity, specifically a school district, the size of Evelyn Gilbert. But that's, so the recommendation is officials and management of the district should constantly be aware of this condition, attempt to segregate duties as much as possible, and provide oversight to partially compensate for this deficiency. The second one is lack of control over financial reporting process. That basically has to do with, I'll read the condition. As part of the audit, management requested the auditor prepare a draft of the district's financial statements, including the related notes to financial statements, which is basically this. Management reviewed, approved, and accepts responsibilities for these financial statements prior to their issuance. However, management does not possess the technical expertise to comply with all government accounting standard board standards. So you're accepting that basically in some cases we're covering ourselves that we're auditing our own work, and not in all areas, because you have to accept responsibility. Other than the audit report, everything is the district's numbers, and it came out, you know, all the information comes out really good from the district's financials, but this is, in order for you to rid of this finding completely, you would have to either do a little bit more on your end, or accept the fact that you're willing to have us help prepare the financial statements. That also is not that unusual in a district the size of Evelyn Gilbert. There's only 2 more pages, the management letters. Some of these are continuations where they exist at the beginning of last year, or year into June 30th, 17. Transfers were made from the OPEB investments to general operating investments during the year ended 6/30/17 without a reason. Reversing transfer was set up for the current year, but was still outstanding as of June 30th, 2018. I think this was just sort of an in-between time with the prior business manager and not totally understanding OPEB investments and transfers. So our recommendation on that one is to actually make that transfer. And I think we have given that information to the current bookkeeper and the business manager. Number 2, bank accounts are not reconciled monthly and timely to the general ledger. Bank accounts should be reconciled monthly, and the school board should review their reconciliations at monthly meetings as a control for cash. Adjustments were also listed on the bank reconciliation to reconcile without proper supporting documentation. I should point out now, these management letters are deficiencies, but they're neither significant deficiencies or significant deficiencies likely to result in material findings. So this is the third level of the findings. The other two I talk about are much more crucial findings. Okay, number 3, upon review of the district's outstanding checks at year end, we noticed numerous checks with dates over 3 years old. Unclaimed or uncashed checks held for more than 3 years or 1 year for unpaid compensation should be reported and paid or delivered to the State Commissioner of Commerce. We suggest the district review Minnesota statutes 345.41 through 43 relating to reporting abandoned property and promptly report and pay all the outstanding checks to the State Commissioner of Commerce, and that's per statutes. Number 4, I'm on page 12 in the back. Repair and maintenance supply expenditures were not recorded consistently with the prior year. We suggest the district review coding of invoices in order to maintain consistent and comparable reporting from year to year. Number 5, some of the demographic information on the PARA website did not match the district's records. PARA actuaries use this information to help calculate their net pension liability. A portion of these net pension liabilities reported in the district's financial statements. We should suggest a district review and correct the PARA website information to match the district records to ensure that the PARA actuaries are provided with accurate information. Inaccuracies from prior year were tested again this year and were still incorrect. Number 6, payroll liability accounts are not reconciled through the year. We suggest the district reconcile these accounts throughout the year to maintain proper controls and to save time at the end of the year. And number 7 has to do with long-term facilities. Maintenance projects were not entered into the state website. We suggest the district project costs be entered into the state website as required. Number 8, OPEB information was not given to the actuary in a timely manner, which delayed completion of the audit report and added additional audit work. We suggest the district provide the actuary with appropriate information timely to prevent missing deadlines for reporting. And number 9, some invoices selected for disbursement testing were not paid within 35 days from the invoice date. We recommend the district review and/or fix procedures so bills are consistently paid within the 35-day period as required by state statute. And 1 payroll disbursement did not have supporting documentation for extracurricular activities reimbursed. We recommend the district obtain proper documentation and approval from employees and supervisors prior to making payroll disbursements. So that's the review
questions for
there.
Greg?
I have none.
Nobody?
So, go ahead.
I'm not a numbers gal. I've said that before. So, I guess my question is, do we have, a lot of your findings, does that have to do with the fact that we don't have a business manager on site frequently? I mean, the one that's doing it now is doing a great job, but
We don't have a full-time.
yeah, we don't have somebody here full-time.
Yeah, I think some things did fall under the radar, and what I should say is a lot of these were corrected while we're here doing the audit. It just, a lot of it weren't timely, so that's why they're in the back as management points and not findings. So they were either corrected or in the process of being corrected. So I think bringing that to the attention could basically be a flag to try to prevent those things from happening in the future. So, I mean, I don't know, it probably has a little bit to do with that, and plus there was a transition. period.
Thank you.
That's it?
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Oh, Greg, before you leave, I have one question yet.
Sure.
Are these reoccurring problems from last year that haven't been corrected, or?
The ones on the management letter?
Yeah.
Maybe the last 3 were reoccurring. The other ones were new.
Okay. All the numbers you threw at us again tonight, what is our fund balances for restricted and unrestricted?
It's on,
Okay, that's on, it's a good question. And that's on page 8 on the upper right. So, but it's
Page 8
broken down by the
down.
fund or going across, but the restricted in total is $3,091,950,
Okay.
restricted there, unrestricted there.
and the unassigned, which is unrestricted, unassigned, is $4,660,025. So those numbers do show up right on page 39, and if I know what I'm talking about,
Okay.
those should also agree with the numbers on page 1 of the handout over the right-hand column. And they do.
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
Anything else?
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. So 12.2, can I get a motion to accept the fiscal year 2018 audit report?
Support. Go ahead, Tom. Tom.
Motion by Sather, supported by?
Gentilini.
Gentilini. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 12.3, discussion of board book.
Mr. Chair, I have 2 options for you. I have a 7-minute video from Board Book, if you'd like to see what Board Book does, or I have an example from Virginia that I can just show you what's in it. Or you can do both.
Board book, would you like to watch a movie, or do you want to
Doesn't matter to me.
just show us, I guess?
Yeah, just, I'm game with just seeing what Virginia
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
looks like.
Yeah.
I will do that. Let's see. All right, so here's Virginia's example. They use Board Book. You can see, and this appears up on their website, but they have all their meetings organized, all the current ones from the last month or 2. They're all active buttons. And then up in the right-hand corner there, you can there's an archive. You can get all the meetings that they've had over time. They're always archived. But say I want to see, I'm going to make this a little bigger. Say I want to see their regular meeting from December 10th. I can just hit on that. And then you can see the notice, the agenda packet, and the approved minutes for it. So I'll hit agenda packet. And this would be similar to what we call an information letter. They just format it a little differently. But you can see within the information letter, they have active, everywhere you see the paperclip. I mean, if the working session minutes, you can click on that. Payments, financial report, I mean, they're all right in the board book. So when you get that onto your device and you can log into it on a computer, your phone, iPad, whatever, all that stuff is there instantly. So I mean, when we put the board agenda out, rather than having to wait 2 days in the mail, you can just click on any of this stuff and it pops up. Like this is their financial report that I just hit there. If you want to see monthly wire reports there, they have all their, like they have they're hiring somebody here. So you can see it's similar to our form that we give you, it's just put on there. So I mean, it's, if you want to add things during the week, I mean, it's a good way to communicate. All this stuff can be put on our website, so it's all accessible to the public, whereas we're not having to guess we're going back and making copies of things and whatnot. It works pretty slick, I think. I mean, it's pretty user-friendly. You can use it. It's, I contacted Board Book, and for a year subscription, it's $2,200 for the year. It's not as bad as I was thinking it was. I don't know. What do you think? You want to know more information? You have.
What kind of devices do we possess when we agree to this?
You can use your phone for it. You can We can get you all iPads, we agreed to that. You can use iPads for it, you can use it on a laptop computer, a desktop computer, anywhere that has internet access.
I love this.
I would
I
like
mean, I'm
it
just,
to.
my papers that I'm gathering since being on the board for 2 years is a lot, so,
Have a Rubbermaid bin.
yeah. And this, I feel like like if someone said, oh, hey, what about this meeting from a few months ago? I feel like this would at least be able, where I can access my stuff much faster.
That,
Agreed.
and we'd be able to view it earlier than what we have in the
Right.
past.
I think it's a good system, and I've used or gone onto other school district websites and used it, for information. The only thing, if we had it, I would still, for those who wanted paper copies, would still be able to get it.
I agree with that, particularly initially. I'm still not a technology guy at all, and I mean, if it was up to me, we wouldn't have email, we'd still be using those old paper message dealies. But that being said, I don't think I'm totally incorrigible in this regard either. But it'd be good, at least initially, to,
While learning.
yeah.
You're willing to learn.
And I
Seems
like
like a no-brainer to me. I was just going to say, is there any other options that are worth looking into that may be better, or maybe, is there?
There's other formats that are similar to it. This is what most schools are using in Minnesota, so it's a familiar format.
Yeah. Seems like a layup.
So, when we're at the table, then, we'd have to have a device to look up all the paper,
Okay.
the agenda and all the information that you have.
You can do that, or like Polly said, we can make copies for a while till you get used to it.
I'm just thinking, I didn't think I would want an iPad, but if we do board book, I do think then I would want an iPad, so that is specifically,
It's fine.
For board work.
So I'm not with my little phone.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So, if you want to give it a whirl, make a motion, and we'll get it ordered up. I can't promise you that we'll have it ready to roll by the next meeting, but by the end of February we will.
I will make a motion to purchase the subscription to board book.
I'd like to, go ahead, support it. I'd just like to amend the motion. Those who want paper copies would be able to get them, that's all.
I will amend.
So we
I'll
got a-
still support.
So we got a motion on the table too. We got a discussion on board book, right? So we're discussing it. Now we're going into a motion to actually agreeing to purchase something
Subscribe
with,
it.
to subscribe to it with the amendment that those who want paper copies can still receive them at their request.
Correct.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 12.4, appoint a treasurer.
Mr. Chair, Director Gentilini was nominated and accepted the treasurer position at the reorganization meeting, and since has indicated that he would like someone else to do it.
So 12.4, so we will accept the resignation from Tom Gentilini and appoint a new treasurer.
Nominate.
Okay, so we have to nominate a new treasurer.
Yep, just call
So-
for nominations. And
We'll just call for, no, that can, you can't have two officer positions, right? You can't,
I don't know the answer to that, but
okay,
I would think it'd be a great idea.
okay. Not that I don't want that, but can I get nominations for the treasurer?
I will again attempt to nominate Matt Schilberg for treasurer.
And I will support.
I said no once.
It's not that bad, man.
You promise?
Promise.
It's easy. I'll help you. I did it for a year. No,
I would accept that.
okay. Any more nominations? Nominations? Okay, I guess, by virtue of only one vote, I guess you are the treasurer.
Well, it
Or,
could get voted no, too,
yeah.
right?
No, you just declared there weren't any
Yeah.
other
Yeah,
nominations.
there
So
was a
you're
nomina-
it.
You're
You're
it.
it. You're the guy.
So we can, well, no, we just,
As long as you
He
accept.
is.
Yep.
Yes,
He's the
all
only
right.
one nominated.
Thank you.
thank you.
Motion.
All right, you're welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
seconded by,
Kelly, right?
No, there is no, Vic, you just,
Yeah,
you
we
just
just-
nominate, there's no
yeah.
seconds,
Oh, yeah,
remember?
yeah.
There's no seconds. You
just
nominate and then you
nominate.
accept it.
Okay.
yeah.
okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good
Matt.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Ben.
12.5, discussion on the meet and confer. Okay, I guess Paulie requested that discussion on meet and confer be placed on the agenda. Can you got any insight on this?
Yeah, it's just in statute that boards and the professional employees, which are the teachers, are to have meet and confer sessions, which is different than meet and negotiate contract language. And we just haven't had it here for a long time, and I just think we should follow the statute. It says the parties shall meet at least once every 4 months.
Once every 4 months?
Yes.
We can do that.
And who are in these parties are? Who are these parties?
Teachers.
The teachers.
Teachers. Okay.
There's not a provision in statute for meet and confer with, like, say, AFSCME or the other groups, but boards can have meet and confer with them, too. Yeah, just, it's for communication and for
Yeah.
discussing anything that's not contractual.
I would like to see us do it,
I
if we're
would
doing
too.
it for one bargaining
Yeah.
unit, to do it for another.
I agree that we
Okay.
should do that.
So I move that we do that, and that we invite the other groups in our district to see if they would be interested in a meet and confer also.
Sure.
Would that be separately, or, I know, what I'm familiar with at the state, the separate bargaining units, one has a labor management committee, one has a meet and confer, and they're all the same thing, but they meet, or they all do, as I understand, serve the same function, but they do meet separately as the issues that may come up with one bargaining unit maybe are separate than issues that may come up with the other bargaining unit. So would we be looking at a group with each respective bargaining unit, or an overall group with the respective bargaining units?
Well, the one with the teachers is separate statutory. I think labor management would be with all groups maybe together, meeting together, but I think there's particular things with, like the AFSCME, maybe the confidential group, maybe the principals group, and I don't know what other groups you could identify.
I think it's important to communicate
Yeah.
as well, and get some, relationships building with staff.
So then, how would this work? I mean, do you
Schedule it.
schedule, and would this like be on school time? Would it be? I mean, how does it?
It
I
could
mean,
be.
I'm not quite clear on how this all
Mutual
works.
agreement, I
Yeah.
guess. Availability of each group that you... And Jeff, you said that you've been doing this. When did you meet and confer?
What, did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
Sorry. I was, if I said that, I was not thinking about the same thing you were.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll support.
Okay, so now we have a discuss, 12.5 is a discussion on meet and confer. Now we're moving into setting something up.
There's a vote on it?
A vote on setting something up.
A vote on having it, period.
Okay.
You're
Okay,
just
so,
voting on having it, then you gotta find a mutual time on it.
okay, so I got a motion on the table to have a meet and confer with the local bargaining units. Okay, can I get a motion?
You got a
Probably
motion?
already did.
Can I
Supported.
support it?
Kelly
Okay.
seconded.
Any more discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 12.6, discussion on study session at the regular meeting.
Mr. Chair, that was brought to my attention that there was some interest in having a discussion about having one regular meeting a month and then having the other one as a study session.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Well, I just see that that the other districts in our area have just like one study session a month, and then they go on and have their regular meeting. I guess the whole point behind that is to get the board up to speed on what's going to be coming up at the next meeting to make them go more smoothly. Gives us time to make decisions, make rational decisions, or decisions on board business. I feel that it's important, but it's up to the board whether that's something they want to do.
Just so I'm understanding, sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
fine.
just so I'm understanding, you're saying that you think before each regular board meeting we should have a study session?
No.
No,
He's saying that,
no.
like this is the second meeting of this month. This would actually be a study session under his proposal.
Only
Right.
one regular board
I don't-
meeting and one study session.
Yeah,
I
so-
guess I wouldn't agree with that. I think that we need to have 2 regular board meetings because you can't vote at a study session, and if something comes up, we need to have that opportunity to vote, and waiting a month can be too long of a time.
And I gave it some thought too. I mean, if someone needs to get paid, they have to wait to get paid, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because we're sending our checks out every 2 weeks.
Well, and didn't this audit just say to be paid within 35 days? And then if you can only approve things once a month, some things can fall into the abyss, I think. But I just don't understand it. I think it's waiting too long to understand what would be different, though, if we had a study session. I mean, aren't regular board meetings kind of study sessions anyway? And if we had something that was really going to take a long time, like going over policies, then we'd have a special meeting or a committee meeting, a policy meeting,
Okay.
or a study session on certain topics.
I like the way Jeff has done it, like if there's things that come up that we need to meet about, or, he schedules a study session prior to these regular meetings, or sometimes we have them on days that isn't a regular meeting, and I think as they come up, or maybe if some kind of topic comes up that a board member would like to have a discussion on or a meeting on because it's that important that it can't wait until before a board meeting, I think that we should just continue going with
Status quo with
Yeah.
our meetings. Okay.
I kind of like the idea of having a study session and then having a meeting when you vote. I mean, what I think that does is it gives you a chance to
Ask
see,
questions.
hear about it, digest, and not just at the meeting, but then, when you go home and you look at the stuff and you are trying to figure out what happened and digesting what was discussed, then you have time to reach out to the superintendent or whoever and say, well, what about this? And I think it'd give us all a better chance to have, much more educated votes, if you will. It's hard a lot of times when you see something, I mean, the way I find, learn or whatever, it's one thing to hear about it, but it takes a while, I guess it's part of getting old, to sink in and to really try and figure things out.
No, Matt, I totally agree with that, totally. But I think the study session should be in between two regular board meetings. Like, I watched the other boards too, but maybe every other Tuesday, if needed, or the in-between Tuesdays of the board meetings would be reserved for study sessions if you need it. I totally agree, and even like the study session tonight, if there's a 5 o'clock study session and we put that on the agenda for the 6 o'clock regular meeting, that's too soon too for some things. That's how I'd like to see them. Two meetings and study sessions in between.
Okay.
I would like to see the study session before a regular session.
Yeah.
Just because, like I said, we've got so many meetings that we're already going to. We're signing up for all these different committees, and it's very time consuming sometimes to meet weekly. And so I like the idea of having a study session, 2 a month. I do like that idea, but I would prefer to have them on regular meeting nights.
So like as today, we had a study session. It would be so nice if we could get through everything on our agenda at a study session. That would be, when we have our study session, if there's four items on there, that we limit our time. I mean, I know there's lots of discussion. We can talk a lot about nothing.
You as the board chair,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah, I mean, we're
you
going to,
get to do that.
because there are some things on the study session that we didn't
That
get
we
to.
didn't put.
But then if you have 6 items, you don't have an hour meeting. If
Well,
you have
then-
6 items, you have to limit the
Then-
items that you have.
Right.
Or we pull a separate meeting.
Or you have a
Right.
separate
I mean,
meeting, yeah.
and I think, and that's what we have, I mean, if there's smaller, we've been able to do the study session before the meeting, but if we know that we're going to have some
Yeah.
conversation.
And do you really want, a study session is like Matt said, to ask questions and to get more information, and do you really want to limit it if there's something that you need to talk more about? Some things are short, some things are
Yeah.
longer, but,
Okay, so the study sessions, we should just keep them before our regular meetings.
I
But-
don't agree with that. I
You
don't
don't?
agree with that.
You think?
No, it's like what Matt said and I said. You need sometimes to digest, ask questions in
Okay.
between,
All right.
get some more information. That's my feeling.
Was anybody opposed to having them before a regular meeting? If it's just, so we don't get so piled up with stuff that at one study session, we're talking about 12 items, and we could have maybe had a study session before our regular board meeting, not to make decisions,
To
but we
iron
can,
out a couple things.
just to iron out, just to keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? So in a regular board meeting, we could have a study session before, if needed, so we're not getting, like I say,
That's my point of view. I mean,
We
I
were-
think it's kind of what I believe Jeff has been operating as.
Mhm.
Sometimes we're able to pull things together from 5 to 6, but then the reality is then we come in and we realize that we are having more discussion and one item doesn't get moved, and then if we have other things after the board meeting, then he ends up pulling a separate study session if needed.
okay.
I mean,
So I have a question. If you're here at 5 o'clock for a study session, and you give yourselves an hour, and then you start the meeting at 6, and then you're here till 8, whether that, you're going to be here the same amount of time, whether you call 1 hour study session or the whole board meeting, you're still going to be here the same amount of time discussing the same issues. It's just that at the study session, you don't take action, you know what I'm saying? And then you throw that on the agenda, you're going to be here the same amount of time anyway. So it doesn't make sense to me.
You mean if we're going to be here the same amount of time
Yeah.
if we have the meeting before a regular meeting or every other
Separate?
week? Because you're taking an extra day then. So instead of getting things done in one day, you have to get them done in 2 days.
Well, again.
And out of complete respect to people's lives, you know, I mean, there's activities, there's things going on, you know, I'm just saying, I mean.
So you wouldn't have any study sessions other than?
Oh,
before
no,
board
no, no, no,
meeting?
no, no, it's open for
In between?
discussion, I mean,
Okay.
we just don't want to get into every single week having a study session.
Right, something scheduled like that.
No, I would never schedule
I
a study
mean,
session.
so if we have a study session at 5 o'clock that's
As needed,
specifically a study
yeah.
session,
Yeah.
we would try to get everything on that study session, say we had at 5 o'clock on a non-regular board day, we would try to get everything ironed out, you know, instead of like, you know, 5 to 6, we maybe do 5 to 7, or whatever we have to do to keep things moving.
As long as you don't put those study session items right on the meeting that you're having
No.
right after. So you have time to mull, ask questions, talk. As long as, say we had four tonight. We discussed them in a study session, but I would not want to see those be on the regular.
Back to back.
Back to back,
Okay.
because you need time.
I was going to
Unless
say,
it's an emergency.
I was just going to say, usually that hasn't happened unless it's an emergency, or we have been known to discuss the same thing, multiple study sessions and multiple meetings. So if we finally feel like we're maybe reaching consensus, that may be reviewed in the study session, knowingly having it on the agenda.
And I was misunderstanding what you were saying, Polly. I thought you were saying that you'd like to see a regularly
No,
scheduled
no.
every other week
No.
meeting.
Just as needed.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So 12.6, we're just going to leave our regular meetings as is with the study session by study sessions being scheduled by Jeff as needed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just I mean, I don't want to beat this up at all, but just to add that, I'm new on the board, just appreciate notice on what we're going to be voting on with as much advance notice as possible, and particularly if they're important votes, that we're all given the information and we have a fair amount of time to digest it, ask questions before we're asked to vote on it.
And I
Yeah,
think,
you're talking about the materials.
And that goes back
Yes.
to, and that goes back to like maybe getting the materials, get us quicker, a day quicker if we need.
well, and
Well,
like I
even the
said,
board
with the
book.
board book, if we could get the board books, then would
I mean, you can still access it by that, and then knowing that the papers are going to be coming in too in the next day or two, because the board book will get, it will flag on there
Quicker.
faster than the mail will come. So,
You can save money today.
Some districts have like just a policy, written or unwritten, or just an agreement that if something's added to the agenda and you've just heard about it for the first time, you do not vote on it at that meeting. So we could maybe adopt that as a loose agreement or a formal, just something to think about.
So 12.6, we'll just get a motion to just,
we don't need
we don't need a motion, anything, just leave it as it is?
Let her
Okay.
go.
Discussion.
Okay, 12.7,
It's the resolution.
okay. That was to accept, the resolution is to accept,
I would move that.
move to accept the proposal.
Resolution is presented.
Yep.
See, this would be an example, or if somebody support it, then we can discuss it.
I'll support.
I'll second.
See, this would be a, unless it's just a, doesn't even matter, like a no-brainer type of a thing, this would be an example of something that was added to the agenda. It's going to cost money, I don't know what, that maybe this should, say, be on the next agenda with a packet of information. There's no way, although a person might agree with it in the end, there's kind of no way to review it, before you actually vote on it because it was added to the agenda. I support it. I'm just kind of giving an analogy here.
I mean, if I'm seeing this right, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're just giving support to an application
To ask for the
to
grant.
ask for money for a grant.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
So there are times when we do,
Right, that's like, I think.
And normally she came to me about 3 hours before the meeting and said, I'm really, really sorry, I just found out about this and the deadline is February 1st and we don't meet again until 11th, so.
So this is one of those time crunch issues that it's got to be in and, yeah.
Would you like me to read the resolution?
Sure.
Resolution number 675, resolution of school board supporting Form B application to Minnesota State High School League Foundation. Whereas the Minnesota State High School League Foundation was formed to provide support for Minnesota's high school youth to participate in athletics and fine arts. Whereas the district school board recognizes the value of students' participation in extracurricular activities, and whereas the Minnesota High School State League
Minnesota State High School League.
Yeah.
Minnesota State High School League Foundation is offering grants and funding to assist school districts to providing seminars, training opportunities, or support for specific school functions for students, faculty members, officials, and others who are involved in athletic and fine arts program. Therefore, be it resolved that the Ablett-Gilbert School Board supports the district's application to the Minnesota State High School League Foundation for a Form B grant.
We do a roll call on this, correct?
Yep. Any other discussion on that?
Any discussion on this? Okay, let's go.
Okay, starting with Director Lotiger.
yes.
Director Sather is a yes. Director Addy.
Yes.
Director Sorkin.
Yes.
Director Gentilini.
Yes?
And Director Yuhan, is that, how, okay,
Yes.
thank you. And Director Schobert?
Yes.
That would pass with 7 yeses.
So then the resolution, what would be?
675.
675 would pass unanimously. Okay. Moving on. right?
Yep.
12.8, discussion of old business and board member topics being put back on the agenda.
And I just asked to have a discussion. It's not that I'm opposed to doing those, to adding those onto the agenda. I just want to have a discussion about what the intentions are. Or, you know, what are the parameters? What are we discussing for those things? Because, for instance, board member topics, it's been said before that in the past, board member topics, Tom has mentioned, board member topics has been for things like, I went to the veterans program, it was really great. Kudos to everybody that participated or whatever. What I don't want to see it turn into is, you know, we bring up a complaint here at the board table prior to bringing it to, you know, to the superintendent, because we have that option to call them up and say, hey, you know, I've heard about this. What's the situation? And then if we don't get any resolution to that, then we can bring it to the board. But I just think it's out of respect that we should bring that up to, you know, bring those things up to the superintendent before we, you know, surprise them at the table.
There's no intent to ambush anybody
I will just say,
just to give personal data that you shouldn't be. No intent at all, and the board chair, I'm sure, would automatically say, I'm sorry, you're out of order, we're not going there, move on.
Right.
And that's the discretion of any of us could call that person out of order. That's not the intent.
Right.
But go ahead, Bill.
I'm just saying that this needs to be more of a feel-good thing, what us as board members are seeing out there, what things are going on in the district, what things are going on that benefit the district. I mean, if this turns into anything negative, I will shut it down.
Okay.
Okay, I will shut it down. I mean, because I've sat through board meetings where there's the first 2 years of my board as a board member, I hope the second 2 years can be just pleasant.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody was under that understanding that that's what it was about. And same with old business. I mean, you know, for instance, like these committees, we talked about the different committees, and if we have to go back to review it, that's what I see as old business. Whereas, you know, like he brings something back to us that we had discussed at a committee meeting. He brings something back for us to vote on or whatever, or to review. I see that as the old business and not bringing back things that we voted on long ago.
It's for tabled things, I think.
I mean, tabled things and just things that Jeff had, things that had come up in conversation, like there was an issue with, I think, the security system, Jeff, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, we board members were like, okay, where are we sitting with that? Is that all resolved, okay?
Yeah,
So, then we move on. Then we move on.
Like I said, I'm not opposed to bringing those things back. I just wanted to have a discussion so everybody knew what those things were,
I mean,
what the parameters of those things are.
I would hope that if anybody brings up any old business or board member topics, it's done very respectfully and that everybody who brings something up has their facts straight.
I just see it as unfinished business, and you keep track of things that you said you'd go back to, like whatever. We were going to review Adina students at the next year, and we didn't. And you just keep track of your unfinished business. To me, it's just like putting it on your calendar.
Okay.
That's it. That was the intent.
Okay.
So it will be articulated, I mean, what items are under old business.
Unfinished business, yeah.
I mean, you could,
Yeah, I would say.
I mean, so we would have under there. I mean, if you want to add something to the old business, you're curious of where things are sitting, we would hope that, I mean, if the list gets long, that we would keep, you know, where are we sitting? You talk to Jeff over, that's all done. That's all, you know, that's all taken care of, and we got resolved, and we move on. Okay?
To answer your question, the way I see it, Matt, is yes, they would be listed as unfinished business, and we'd carry them forward each until we've taken care of that unfinished business.
It's a nice way to track.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a
because
tickler
you
system like
honestly,
businesses.
yes, you can lose things easily, so
Okay.
it is a nice way to track.
That's
Okay.
all. I just wanted discussion.
Okay,
Thank you.
so on that, 13.0, old business, I guess there's only one thing I had to say on old business was the fact that the security system is taken care of, right, Jeff, with the issues we had with that?
Yeah, I have that, and I was going to give you an update in my administrative report, but I'll just wait for that. The one thing I do want to mention under old business is we had talked about the RFP for the legal services.
Okay.
See,
I
there's one right there.
did draft a rough draft here. I'd like you all to take a look at that in the next couple of days, and if there's something that you don't like in there, to give either me or Justine shoot an email over. Other than that, we'll probably put this in the paper soon. I'll give you a date. How about next Monday? I'm going to put this thing in the paper if I haven't heard from anybody.
So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
question would be, I think it's great that we would get people locally if we advertise in the paper. We'd get
Why not?
local people. What I'm wondering about is how are we going to let
I just used the paper
people...
as an example. I'm not sure.
Okay, because I just want to make sure that, other people have the opportunity as well.
To see it.
Yeah, that also have experience working with school district issues
So
Yeah.
we-
and situations.
Just to add to that, I wouldn't want to see it go out next Monday and then each one of us individually just tell Jeff, if we have any suggestions or deletions or whatever. I think I would like this to come back to the table, the next
Oh, okay,
meeting.
that's fine too. I just didn't know
Because
if
then
you
we
wanted
can all
to wait.
discuss what our,
I just didn't know if you wanted to wait that long, but that's fine.
because we can't, we have to come to a collective decision in a, open meeting. And if we just give you your ideas.
Well, the only
how you
thing
wanna
is on
change it.
an RFP though, it's not necessarily something you need to
That
vote
the
on.
board needs to vote on, yeah.
I mean, I just want
just
to make
think
sure we have all our bases covered so that, I mean, you'll vote on whoever elects to apply for it.
No, I think we should discuss this in a group meeting again, the
That's fine.
whole proposal, and then go out and pick a date.
And are we contemplating having one attorney, or will it be a similar situation where my understanding is now there are several that we work with depending on what the item is?
I think it should be on a case-by-case basis. If it's something locally,
Then do we
If it's-
really, if that's the case, do we really want to send this out?
Then that's different than this,
Yeah.
case
'Cause
by
that-
case.
This is calling for a school attorney that's
Is
designated.
this a retainer agreement? It almost is like
Yeah.
a retainer agreement, and that's not what I envisioned.
And that's why I'm asking. I mean,
Yeah,
if this
well-
is not what you want, we're going to do something else. But we can discuss it.
And that's why I'd like to discuss it, and put it on the next agenda.
Very good.
okay?
Or a study session,
So that would be old business then?
that's all.
That falls,
There we go.
or unfinished business.
Yeah, unfinished business.
Okay, so we're all good with that, right? Any other old business anybody wants to discuss or anything? Okay, 14.0 administrative report information.
All right, here we go. So I'm talking a little bit about the collaboration. So I mentioned earlier tonight in a study session that on February 5th at 6 o'clock at the Northeast Service Co-op, we'll have a joint board study session with the Virginia School Board. Of topic that night, I will have representatives from Krause-Anderson there. We're going to talk a little bit about the elementary options and where we're at with that. Try to get some direction there, and we'll also talk about timelines, where we're headed, that kind of thing. After we're done with that meeting, Noel and I are going to go out on tour for a couple days just to try to gauge how the public feels about the elementary options, because we really haven't at this point. It wasn't a part of the survey. So we're also thinking about throwing a survey monkey out there. That's an online survey, those of you that don't know. Just to get some, and it won't be scientific or anything, but just to get some feedback as to how people feel about it. On the 28th, we're looking at our special meeting to vote whether or not to send it out to the public or not. And then the following day, our review and comment would be due to the MDE for a May 14th public vote. Cramming her in. It's either that or we got to wait a year. A little bit about the classroom locks. So what happened is we ordered the equipment. If you look around the building, most of the electronic locks are on the doors right now. They're all controlled by a wireless controller that we were told there should be one in each hall, but because of the thickness of the walls here, we can't get away with just one in each hall. We have to have one in each every time it curves and goes the other way. we have to have another one in each of those halls so it's visible to the doors. So we had to order some more of those. So it's not functional right now, but they will be shortly. It will be a pretty cool system, and all the teachers will just, their access card that they get in the building, they'll be able to get in their classroom as well. They can open it that way, and if we have to lock down the whole building, it can be done with a phone, iPad, or there's actually, after we did the exterior locks, we have a button in each office now that we can lock down the whole building now.
Just before you go forward, when I was listening to meetings when, you decided which way to go with these locks and the security system, was there a option of hardwired or wireless?
Yes, it was pretty expensive though.
Then the board decided on the wireless ones or
Yeah.
the hardwired ones?
We went with the wireless ones.
And that was less or more expensive?
Quite a bit less.
Quite a bit less for wireless? Yeah,
Yeah.
because of all the...
Yeah.
Do we know, what are we looking at for additional cost?
I think each of those controllers was about $500. So we're probably in maybe $3,000 range on that. It's part of that grant.
Okay.
And then the exterior, remember we were also changing all the exterior locks on the Gilbert campus to match the ones that got changed here through insurance. Did we finish that today? I think we're done with that now. So that's up and running. I had a little thing on inclement weather, but obviously you've heard that we canceled schools. We'll skip over that one. A little bit about what's going on at Franklin Elementary. So about a week ago we had a little community ed activity after school, Build a Golden Bear, similar to Build a Bear workshop. It was so popular we actually have a second section coming up. We had over 70 kids sign up for it, and we only had room for 35, so we're going to have a second section coming up here. It's pretty cool. Kids enjoyed that. We do have I Love to Read Month coming up. This year we're doing, the theme is Catch a Reading Wave. There'll be tallying points each week, AR points. Of course, those who don't know, each book is assigned a point value according to Accelerated Reader. So each classroom will tally up. We'll have individual competitions as well as classroom competitions, grade level competitions, and a pretty neat little thing that we have going on there. So there's the class and the weekly prizes. So I'll pass it on over to Mr. Grippentrog.
Before I get into the first slide, we are having I Love to Read Month over at the Gilbert campus. We are having one book, one campus this year. So we're really excited about that. There's going to be lots of different activities, but the whole premise is that everyone on the Gilbert campus will be reading the same book. So we'll allow a lot of different activities for that. So I just wanted to mention that, and we'll have some follow-up slides at the next meeting. Moving on to Make the Cut, we've had some 7th graders make the cut for fairness. Our character quality this month has been the quality of fairness. Students again are nominated to make the cut off my tie, and those 3 students there, Quinn Ufford, Alec Troutwine, and Matthew Larson, made the cut for 7th grade last week. Moving on to the next one, if you toggle back between this slide and the previous slide, you can see I was probably wearing the same shirt. But anyway, congratulations to the 6th graders who made the cut for fairness, Grace Holcomb, Maggie Grip, and Haley Kotnick. And then moving on to some 5th graders for fairness, we had Sammy Petron, Taylor Morley, and Gracie Kynes. 8th grade make the cut for fairness is this week. So, thank you.
And at the senior high, we have our post-secondary planning class, which is a semester-long class for 9th graders, and it's for career awareness. And Mrs. Madden and Mr. Brainerd took their classes to Hibbing to L&M Radiator and Detroit Reman manufacturing plants, and that's one of our highest needs in the area is manufacturing behind healthcare. So it was nice that they took them to show them that they can stay in this area, work in these high demand jobs. And the Northeast Minnesota Office of Job Training provided transportation and paid for the subs as well. So thank you to that organization. And then second semester, we have an added telepresence course that is being operated in our telepresence room, graphic arts, and it's being sent through Masabi East. Their graphic arts teacher is teaching it. So, and we also have the Chinese as well for second semester, which is going really well. The students like the instructor. So hopefully we can continue that for next year. And then this was already mentioned by Haley Ward, our student rep, but February 7th, choir booster fundraiser for them, Tonic Sofa, will be here presenting $20 for a ticket. And you can contact Denise Berry at the high school here for tickets if need be.
There's like one other thing. Last Friday, that it was freezing cold in the morning. We had about 40 kids between the two district hop on a bus and go down to Alexandria. Mrs. Kemp organized that. You have any 2 words?
Wow.
Was it?
Kids were super excited. They were really well behaved, really excited. And we last minute ended up eating lunch at Alexandria instead of in Sauk Center as originally planned. So the kids got to experience the cuisine of it. And we had board member Schoberg was there, got to see the tour with the kids as well. And then 2 of our teachers, senior high staff members, also got to come with too. So yeah, there was 41 students between us and Virginia that went. So kids are really impressed. Kids are really empowered with, wow, this is potential that we can have and we can actually be part of this decision-making process. I said, you know, good, bad, or otherwise. And I told the kids at the end of the day, I said, pros and cons. We did a student survey and we said pros and cons. Go home, talk to your parents. What was good, what was bad? Let them know both sides of the story. And so hopefully they're having those discussions with community members as well.
Thank you. Appreciate you doing that. That's all I have.
All right, 15.0, board member topics. Like I said, let's keep it, if you're going to speak, let's keep it all good.
I've just, in the past, I've attended many of those board meeting topics, 30 years, and they're prior to my election to the board, and I never heard anything come out derogatory during the discussions. It was all constructive, you know, and it gave the board members a chance to talk with each other without being in violation of the open meeting law. So I feel I appreciate that you put this back onto the packet. Now it's been gone for 2 years, so I think it's a good thing. And it also lets the public know of what we're doing and what we're trying to do. When we're not trying to hide anything from them, you know. And it gives good output. So I'm pleased to see it come back on again.
Thank you. Polly, anything?
I'm kind of confused here because board member topics, I think I envision things that aren't on the agenda, right? Is that, I mean, otherwise they'd be on the agenda. But, so today we get a communication, and I'm not sure where if this would fit in under board member topics or not, from Ed, Minnesota. So would it be a board member topic to say we received this communication and discuss putting it on the agenda or what we're going to do about it? Would you envision that part of board member topics or not? Because I had nothing for tonight.
So if you said you had information and you wanted to be placed on the agenda, I think that, yeah, then I would say that you take it up with me or Jeff to get whatever information you have and put it on the agenda so we're not discussing it, I guess, if it's something, you know, related to that. I mean, this is all about what you're seeing, what people are talking about out in the, you know, out in the town, and good things you're hearing about our district. That's kind of how I
agree
want
with you,
it.
Bill. Yeah, no, I do too. Then, like say, each one of us would get different calls from different people and conversations. And so it might be a good idea, and I'd want to bring it, or you would want to bring it to the board because you're the only one contacted about it. And I see that as a board member topic. Because
If you mean, in what content would somebody contact? I mean, because you're going to have to draw the line between what's personnel and what's, you know.
That's off the table automatically.
Okay, right, very good. All right.
And so that's how I envision.
I mean, if someone's calling you and telling you, oh, you know, that,
No.
you know, I mean, something like that, I wouldn't,
No,
I guess
that's
I don't want that.
If they made you aware of a good program or something,
Oh.
gee, I never thought of that. We never had that in the district. But somebody came and they either saw it or they came from another district and they had it. But I'm the only one that they might have called, or you.
Mm-hmm.
And I envision that as a board member topic because it's not on the
Well,
agenda.
then, yeah, that's good things.
okay.
That's good things.
All right.
Okay. All I can say is that I went to the meeting, and Brandy, you were there, and Polly was there, and I sat through the collaboration meeting, and it was very, very, very informative. Tough decisions coming up, though. Tough decisions. You can feel it over here, and you can feel it over there, but it was great. Angie, I've been down to the Alexandria. I was impressed. You know, and I know the feeling, you know. So that's all I got.
I just wanted to appreciate the board for pulling together last week to do the interviews for our vacant position in order to be able to have someone appointed tonight. So I really do appreciate you guys pulling together a meeting to do that last week, so.
I would just like to throw out there, if anybody is looking for a reader for I Love to Read Month for the week of February 18th, I am off for the whole week, so I would be more than happy to come and read to elementary or
I got a couple spots for you, I thought you did.
Okay.
I have nothing tonight.
Just thanks for the appointment is all I have.
All righty. That's it?
Happy to be here.
Okay, can I get a motion, 16.0, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
What's our enrollment?
So, okay,
Kelly
so
support.
motion by Sorkin, support by Sather, this meeting is adjourned.